call the meeting to order at 6:34. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have the roll call, please?
Tim Drolet.
Present.
Jan Gaffney. Here. Tim Holcomb.
Here.
Allison McFadden Keesling. Here. Nancy Moon.
Here.
Alan Panter absent. Maggie Sands. Here. Julie Meredith here.
Okay, terrific. May I have an approval of the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. Call to the public. I don't see any public. Okay, we'll keep going. Anyone have questions about the consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Jim?
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. We're now ready for Friends of the Library. Linda, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. I'm Linda Welch. I've been on the Friends Board for 2 years as secretary. So I've lived in the community for a number of years, and so I'm glad to be able to represent the Friends at this board. I appreciate you giving us some time. There's 2 things that I wanted to mention. I know Jim mentioned last month about the library book sale coming up next week. We are in need of individuals who can haul boxes, especially at the end when we close up. So, you know, we don't sell everything, so we'll have things that we want to keep and maintain for the future. So we do need sturdy bodies to do that. Sometimes we get kids from the National Honor Society, but we can always use some helping hands. The second thing that we're doing, which is new this year, is, well, the teachers automatically get a $20 stipend from the Clarkson Community Schools to purchase books for the grades that they're instructing. We're also providing them another opportunity to come when we close on Saturday to get additional materials free of charge.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful, Linda.
Nice.
That's
So,
great.
You know, we hope that they come and take advantage of it. You know, they'll probably have the same opportunity in April, the next book sale. And thank you for welcoming me to this group.
Now, I believe you changed your schedule for the book sale.
So now on Wednesdays, we start with the members, and then Thursday, Friday is full price day, and then Saturday is a bag day, like a paper bag, which you pay for $5.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, anyone?
Welcome.
Welcome, Linda.
Welcome.
Then we have the library statistics.
So there's one statistic that I still have to try and do some verification on. You know, we still run into that every once in a while where one of the stats just doesn't seem right. And that's, this month is the 2025 library adult programs numbers. So I am going to be going over those, and we'll have a complete year end for the next board meeting. We are in fact, as we you know, statistics is an evolving thing, is the way we have it here, and I actually have we're doing another method. We're starting another method that we just built like last week. So there's going to be more information in the statistics as they come out next time around. For example, one of the things that we put in there is a percentage change. So you don't just have raw numbers. You'll see the percentage change from year to year.
I don't have to do the math in my
You
head
don't have to do the
anymore?
math in your head anymore.
Yay.
And I don't do the math at all. So they thank you for doing the math in your head. But it'll be automatically added into the statistics. We are adding in the room reservations, the usage of the rooms as well. That's going to be added in starting 2026. And so there.
It's so there.
Any questions or comments, Bill?
No.
Thank you, Bill. We're looking forward to the new format for 2026. May we have the library's director's report?
Okay, so under We Are a Community Collaborator, CIDL hosted the American Revolution Experience exhibit in the Youth Activities Room from Sunday, January 4th through Saturday, January 10th until 2 p.m. This interactive traveling exhibit was paid for by the National Daughters of the American Revolution to circulate around the United States, and the local chapter of the DAR applied for a grant to host this exhibit in Clarkston. Our local DAR chapter, in partnership with the Clarkston Area Chamber of Commerce, held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the exhibit on Monday, January 5th that included an 8-flag color guard, a cadence drummer, and a bagpiper from the Sons of the American Revolution. Over 100 people attended the opening ceremony. Our exhibition of this display was the kickoff to Clarkston's celebration of America 250, the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. The exhibit has moved on to the Rochester Hills Public Library and will continue on to Bloomfield Township Public Library and the Southfield Public Library in the coming weeks. And the DAR actually had docents in the room the whole time, and they kept track of how many people visited, and she will be providing me with those statistics. I just don't have them as yet. So I will share those when I have them. Great. A display of Clarkston Junior High School student work is being featured in the library's lobby. Humans of Clarkston, the series, is a project of the PAC Press, CJHS's student news site. Staff writers interviewed individuals throughout the community and wrote an article about each of them. The display presents an ad featuring each person with a picture, quote, and QR code to their full story on the PAC Press site. We're excited to be hosting their student work.
Thank you.
As we are a go-to place for learning and resources, the library is hosting 2 concerts in January. Country Blues on Monday, January 26th at 6:30 p.m. Leonardo Gianola takes you through the story of blues from the beginning up through the 1930s and plays songs to support the narrative. The audience is encouraged to ask questions, as that helps steer the story as to what most interests them, so no 2 performances are ever the same. Americana Review acoustic music show on Saturday, January 31st at 2 p.m. This musical journey travels the back roads, mountains, cities, and fields where America's roots were born. From the hollers of Appalachia to the dusty highways of Texas, this show celebrates the sounds of folk music, country, and bluegrass that shaped the nation.
And on that second one, is there an artist who will be playing instruments, or is it a more historical?
I believe it's a group, and they are playing instruments.
They are?
Yeah. It is music, yeah. This month's Innovation Lab is called 3D Scanners and You. It's on Tuesday, January 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. Library users of all ages can learn about our Morocco 3D scanner, from different ways to utilize the device to the details to keep in mind while scanning. This program will look into all the different ways these machines can be used. From 6 to 7, it will be a lecture and demonstration, and from 7 to 8, it will be Q&A and open office hours. And then last, We Are a Vital Organization. On Monday, January 26th, Nancy Moon is going to be doing a presentation at the Clarkston City Council meeting to update them about the current status of the Clarkston Historic District Survey Project. I will join her to do a presentation to show off our Clarkston Historic District website. Located at www.clarkstonhistory.org, this vast resource started as a Library Services and Technology Act grant, known as LSTA, from the Library of Michigan, funded by the Institute for Museum and Library Services, IMLS, in 1994. Cutting edge for its time, it includes a walking tour and interactive map of the historic buildings downtown. We are continuing to add to the site and will be looking to expand it to also house the digitized high school yearbooks, local newspaper archives, and a historic home survey of Independence Township. More work to be done on that.
Any questions or comments?
That's great.
I want to just say one thing. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Bill, for handling the fire suppression problem that we had last Wednesday.
I was afraid to bring it up for fear I would cause it to seek more attention, so.
Well, Julie got to spend the night in the library, and Bill acted as the person to make sure the project got completed. So thanks to both of you.
Oh,
Did you set up a cot?
actually, the leather sofa in the alcove is pretty comfy. So. Yeah, he's done fire watch with me before, yeah, so we take turns. I usually do the first night, he usually does the second night. He got off the hook this time, though, so. He showed up bright and early so I could go home on Thursday.
That's nice. Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Now, for regular business, got to get to my magic little sticker here. Library Board orientation. I think Julie is going to provide us with a presentation.
Bill's going to help me with my technology. Okay. So several of you are returning to the board, and Jim is new to the board, but Jim is also very experienced because he's been our library liaison from the Friends for the last couple years. Yeah, so, and he attended the library orientation when the board did the orientation last term. So this is not really new information, so I'm going to go over kind of the high points just to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page. But if you have questions, feel free to stop me as we go along. So the first thing, welcome to the library, of course. A little bit of history. So the Independence Township Library was started in 1954 by the Women's Club. It was in that little white house that's next to 90 North Main that is now Union AdWorks. And it was in that building until 1968. In 1969, it moved to what I've always thought looked like a Michigan Bell telephone building from the 70s. It was built in 1969, and that was the building until 1991. And then in 1992, they built a 16,000 square foot addition onto a 4,000 square foot library, which is essentially a new building, but it's on this site. The children's department is the original footprint for that little brown building. Those windows, that door in the front are the windows that you see in the children's department. So that kind of gives you bearings of where you are in the building. So that building was the Independence Township Library from 1992 to 2011. And then it became the Clarkston Independence District Library in 2012 when we were established as the district library. So let's just talk a little bit about behind the scenes. This is the admin office. This is the doorway that goes into this little side is my office, and that side is Nicole and Kathy's office, as well as Sissy. So the first thing we want to talk about is how we share information with the public. So the first thing that you need to know is that we do put our board meetings on the website. If you go onto the library's website, CIDLibrary.org, and you go under the About Us tab and go down to where it says Meet the Library Board. When you go onto that site, this is what you'll find on that page. You're going to find the library board meetings, which are and the official posting. It has a link to our bylaw, the library board's bylaws, and our policy on public comment at the meetings. And then it has a link to the agendas and the other information. And when you click on that link, it goes to what's known as the DoD website, the Documents on Demand website. This is the same way that the township houses their information as well, so this will feel very familiar to the community. On this site, you will be able to get to the agendas, the audits, the budgets as we amend them. It also includes all of the meeting agenda packets, the links to the videos. So all of the information that you could want to know about the library is housed right here, very transparent and easy to find. Any questions about any of that? So once again, that's CIDLibrary.org under About tab, Meet the Library Board, and this is the DoD website, the Documents on Demand. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the board meetings themselves. So the library board meetings are once a month on Monday at 6:30 p.m. The meetings are televised and archived on the website. The meeting packets are emailed to board members, printed and placed in library board member mailboxes, and posted to the website on the Friday before the meeting. In the packet, each agenda item starts with a meeting agenda item form. We call them I'll call them a MAFE, that summarizes the history, context, and recommendations about that item. So as you're going through your packet, or as the community, as they're looking at the packet, they can kind of get a little bit of context before they go into the documents that go along with it. And then, of course, you'll have all that supporting documentation. Board members also receive a working agenda with their packet that includes which items need a vote, details that should be included in the motion, and the type of vote needed, whether it's standard or roll call. So the reason we have this working agenda is not to sort of predict how the meeting is going to go. The board obviously can rewrite and recommend a motion at any time, but it does help us to take notes. So Nicole is our transcriber. She takes the minutes of the meeting, and it helps her to know, and it also helps the board to remember all of the details that need to go in there. So if we need you to include which budget line and the amount of money in a line item for budget adjustments and things like that, that's in there. You can change that information at any time, but then you just remember you still need to include those details. Whenever possible, meeting handouts are included in the minutes unless they are documents that cannot be publicly posted, such as material subject to copyright laws or privileged legal communications from the library's attorney. So basically, at the end of the meeting, we pack everything up that may have been a handout, and Nicole puts it all together, and we then post it to the website. Any questions about any of that? Okay, so included in your handouts tonight, we did give you a packet that came from our attorney. So Ann Searing is our attorney. She is a library law specialist. We actually have more than one attorney. We have a labor law specialist and some others, but she is our primary attorney. She is the library law specialist in the state of Michigan, and we are very fortunate to have her as part of our team. She has been with us since we did the district library in 2012. Okay, so in this packet, I'm just going to do some of the high points. She wants to remind you of a few things. So board member responsibilities, you have a fiduciary obligation to the board. You need to follow the statutory responsibilities and be fiscally responsible. Board members have policy-making responsibilities. Board sets policy through official actions. The board delegates responsibilities to the library director, that's me. You act as advocates for the board and the community. And you focus on the big picture and leave the everyday operations to the library director and the library staff. Board members should not attempt to micromanage. We're very blessed. I love that we have such an engaged board, but that you don't micromanage, so thank you very much for being such a wonderful board. I was right to the other library directors, how great a board we have here, because you guys are spot on in terms of the level of engagement and the amount of assistance and support that you provide. So I feel very blessed. In dealing with the public, it's important to support the library and the decisions of the board. The library director, we do have a media policy. So dealings with other board members, obviously there's an expectation of participation in the board meetings, and we may have rigorous debates at some point. We treat other board members with courtesy, even when we disagree. The one thing that I also love about this board is that they're consensus building, and one of the things that I do as the library director is try really hard to keep you looped in, because there's nothing worse than being in a meeting, especially a publicly televised meeting, where you feel blindsided. That is my goal, to never allow you to feel blindsided. So my director's reports, emails to the board, conversations, all of those kinds of things help you to stay in the loop, being on subcommittees, and I appreciate that you stay engaged. I also feel very fortunate that when we pass out the packets, that you take a good look at them, that you call me ahead and ask questions. I'm always happy to make sure I have additional information if they feel like there's something missing in the packet, so feel free to do that at any time. In terms of dealing with the libraries, although library board members have access to public records necessary to do their jobs, board members do not seek documents such as library records of patrons, patron mailing lists, or other documents that are not relevant to the board members' duties. We've never had an issue with that, but that is something that she wants to make sure that you realize. You do not have rights to meeting locations, copiers, staff time for personal or non-library business. In terms of the Open Meetings Act, and this is an important one I want to make sure that we talk about. The Open Meetings Act makes sure that all meetings are public. That's why we televise them, that's why we take minutes. We want to make sure that we're not violating the Open Meetings Act in any way. One of the most important things that I do to ensure that is that we prevent private communications of the group. So if I send out an email to you that is something that everybody needs to know about, for example, the fire suppression system issue, you'll notice that I blind copied you on all of that. And I do that so that if you reply, you're only replying to me. If you say something to me that I then realize that the rest of the group needs to know, I will send out another email that says, by the way, Maggie said blah, 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 blah. But we don't want private conversations. And it's really easy in a reply all for a private conversation to start. So I'm very careful when I do emails, and the staff is all trained that if you're going to send an email to the board, you will get it blind copied. The way that you know that it's a blind copied library board email is that I always put in subject line, library board. That way you know that I am sending it to all of you. And that is a consistent way that I do that. It also helps you to see it in your email, because I know you get lots of emails, and it'll say library board, and you'll know what that is, and you can see to it at your convenience since you are a volunteer board. Any questions about any of that? Okay. So one of the important things that we also need to remember is that in a public meeting, the public does have a right to speak to the board. And so we do have a public comment policy. We also make sure to create time for our friends of the library. So while they could just speak during public comment, we actually build them right into our agenda to make sure that they get their chance to speak. Let's see. I don't want to do all too much on me. The one thing I did want to touch upon, and we don't do it very often, which is why I wanted to make sure that I do touch upon it, is closed session. A closed session may be called by a majority vote of the members of the board. One, to consider the dismissal, suspension, discipline, complaints, charges, or periodic personnel evaluations of a public officer or employee, if the named person requests a closed hearing. Or two, for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement, which we don't have a union, so we don't do that, if either party requests a closed session. So you'll notice we don't do closed sessions very often, and therein lies the reason. Let's see. I'm not going to go into too much depth on that one because we don't do it very often. If you were to decide you needed a closed session, I would call the attorney and have her guide you through that process. That's what we have for. Okay. So those are the main things that she wanted to make sure that I highlighted for you. Did I miss anything? I didn't. Okay. Okay, so in terms of board project calendar, so the things that we do as a library board, you elect your officers in January. March through April, we do the annual audits. We usually have the presentation of the audit in June or July, depending on when it's complete. It needs to be submitted by June 30th. We usually try to have that arranged to be on the agenda by June. Usually the reason it's not is more to do with the availability of the auditor to do the presentation and not really about whether or not we're ready for it. But that's sort of the plan. March through October, the staffing committee and the capital improvement plan subcommittees meet. In October, the board holds the annual budget workshop. August and September, the board holds the public hearings on the millage rate and the budget and approves the budget. This is all going to sound real familiar because we just did all of this. September through December, we do performance review subcommittee, conducts the library director's performance review and coordinates the library board self-review. And then October to February, the library's annual state aid report is filed. That's something that I do, but it is something that comes from the library, and the library board is, usually the library board president signs off on it. Okay, so in terms of organizational structure, there's the library board up there at the top. You have one employee, that's me. And then beneath me are all the other employees. You'll see that I have a team of department heads. So I have a head of adult services, a head of youth and teen services, a head of technical services, a full-time IT manager, a full-time head of circulation, a full-time marketing engagement coordinator, and a full-time facilities coordinator. And then underneath those, we do have other employees. Now these are actually listed above this line right here. All those are full-time, and then all of this down here is part-time. We have 13 full-time employees, and all of the rest are part-time. Any questions about any of this staff? All right, we just did the budget, but here is our budget document. You'll see the way it is posted. There is usually just a couple of years of amended budgets that you can see, and then we do an approved budget, and then as we make changes to the budget, as you make amendments, I update it and it goes right to the website. So when you approve a budget adjustment or amendment of any kind, it goes to the accountant who updates it in our software. We update it on this particular form and then we upload it to the website. So the public can see whenever we make changes to the budget. You'll notice at the bottom of this, you can always tell where we are in the process, because down here it will tell you which version. This says board approved amended budget for 2026. Nothing's been amended yet. The next one below it says board approved amended budget for 2025, 12/15/2025. That means this is the one you literally just did at your last board meeting. And that's what's posted on the website right now. Any questions about any of that? Okay. So one of the things I do want you to notice about this particular budget is there's a couple of line items that I think are interesting to note. For example, the book budget. So our book budget is approved as a very large amount. It's $790, line 790, and it's $254,000. You approve it at this level. We actually have it broken down much smaller, and we track it in a much smaller set of categories than that. We have adult books, we have children's books, we have teen books, we have downloadables and electronic materials. I break it down with the department heads into a much tighter little set of numbers. Legally, the way it's written, because you're approving it at this 790 line item, I can shuffle the money back and forth within that $254,000. Now you'll notice when I do budget adjustments, I usually bring them in and have you approve them overall. But legally, I can go ahead and change those. So for example, if our head of adult services says, wow, I'm way near the end of the year and I need about $3,000 more, and the head of youth services, I have $3,000 that I don't need, I can let you take it, I can make those changes all on my own. I cannot take book money and move it into the AV budget, which is a completely different line item number, because that's a change in sort of the philosophy of what you've approved. So how do we come up with these numbers? We use QSAC, which is the Quality Audit Services Checklist, and it says that 12% of our budget should go toward materials. So I take that money out and I figure out about how much we're going to put toward materials, and then I have you approve overall how we're going to break down those materials into physical versus AV versus subscriptions and that kind of thing. That's where your philosophy and your approval comes from. And then the little day-to-day stuff, whether it's 80,000 for children's and 50,000 for children's is the part that I work out with the librarians depending on how much they feel they need in any given year. Any questions about that? Okay, so just some important resources that I want to throw out there that you might be interested in. The Library of Michigan website is a great place to find information, and that's www.michigan.gov/librarytrustee. They have all kinds of resources. They have online webinars, some great resources that you can use, including the Michigan Library Trustee Manual and the Public Library Financial Management Guide that was written by our very own Alan Panter. He's in the process of updating that right now. United for Libraries also has tools for library trustees. That's part of the American Library Association. It is also linked to the Library of Michigan website, and the reason it is because the Library of Michigan pays for every library in the state of Michigan to have a subscription to United for Libraries resources. Now, we love a lot of United for Libraries because United for Libraries actually granted us money in 2012, and that was the year that our millage did not pass. It had only lost by 28 votes, but they came in and they paid for a consultant to help us reevaluate the situation and go back on the ballot in 2014. So that was very kind, and that was a nice grant, and we learned a lot in that process. And we came back in 2014 and won with 74% yes votes. So I think we got more numbers without that. So Ann also wrote an article called 10 Ways to Avoid Violating the Open Meetings Act. It's an older article, which is why I didn't hand it out this evening, but I did hear that she's in the process of rewriting it, and so I will get that out to you when she has the new version available. But it is a lot of those tips and tricks like send out your messages to your library board via blind copy so that they don't accidentally end up having a private conversation. So we follow what Ann says. She does a great job keeping us honest. Okay, any questions about any of that? Okay, so the other packet of information that I handed out to you, there is a list of library policies, and I handed them out to you separately so that you could take these home with you if you would like to take a closer look at them. It does include the bylaws. It includes the policy regarding library board compensation, the public comment policy, the capitalization policy, the Freedom of Information Act summary and procedures guideline, the fund balance policy, the gift policy, the investment policy, the public relations policy, the purchasing policy, the risk control policy, and the Michigan Library Privacy Act. Any questions about any of those?
No, it's thick.
Nope.
Great bedtime reading.
It's a great solution to insomnia. If you have any specific questions, feel free to give me a call. I'll be happy. I can talk your ear off about almost any of them. If you're so inclined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the transparency, particularly in the budget things.
Yeah. So the one last thing that you will find in your packet is your contact information for the board members, so that you can contact each other should you need to. You are able to do that. So.
Now we're ready to talk about the election of officers for the calendar year 2026.
Okay, so according to the bylaws, the library board will elect officers at the first regular meeting of the year. The 2025 officers were President Nancy Boone, Vice President Allison McFadden Kiesling, Treasurer Janice Gaffney, and Secretary Alan Panter. The current library board term is January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2028. And the term for the officers elected at this meeting will be January 12, 2026 through the first regular meeting in January 2027. So,
Questions, comments? Anybody want to change anything? Well,
Can
I
we,
will make a motion.
I just had a quick question. Can we reaffirm Alan as secretary if he's not present? Is that,
he did not say he was unwilling to be secretary, so I'm
Okay.
assuming he said he was fine with that, so,
there you go.
yeah.
All right.
Yep.
What were you going to say, Maggie?
And now I will make a motion to appoint the slate as presented.
I think you have to.
Do I have to say them?
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't have made the motion had I thought I had.
Sorry about that.
I will make a motion, thank you. I don't see what you're pointing to. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yep.
For the 2026 officers for the Clarkson Independence District Library. Nancy Moon, President. Allison McFadden Kiesling, Vice President. Janice Gaffney, Treasurer. Alan Panter, Secretary.
Second.
A motion has been made to retain the current slate of officers from 2025 for 2026. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Same officers for 2026.
Well,
Thank you,
very
Maggie.
much.
Thank you for serving. Thank you for your leadership.
Now, we need to update our list of check signers because we had one person retire from the board.
Do you want me to do an overview?
Please, Julie.
All right. As a brief review, the accounts payable procedure is as follows. Invoices are submitted to the Accounts Payable Administration Assistant, who enters them into QuickBooks. The checks run preview and invoices are given to the director for review. Once approved, checks are run. There are 5 check signers, 4 board members, and the library director. All checks are reviewed and signed by 2 library board members. The library director only signs if a check is needed quickly to prevent late fees or if another board member is unavailable, and only with the agreement of the board member who is available to sign or the board member who was scheduled to sign but is unable to do so now. The check detail report goes to the library board packet for approval on the consent agenda. Currently, the individuals on the master signature authorization agreement at the bank are Marilyn Pomeroy, Janice Gaffney, Nancy Moon, Allison McFadden Kiesling, Alan Panter, and Julia Meredith. Marilyn has stepped down from the board, and James Drolet was appointed into that open seat. We need to update the list to remove Marilyn, and the board should select and approve an additional person if we want to maintain the same number of people authorized to sign.
Jim, would you be willing to become a signer for CIDL?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.
We need to, I believe, do a roll call vote, is that correct?
Well, we need a motion to approve the resolution authorizing Janice Gaffney, Allison McFadden Kiesling, Nancy Moon, Alan Panter, Julia Meredith, and Jim Drolet as signers on the library's Flagstar accounts as presented. If somebody would like to make that motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve Janice Gaffney, Allison McFadden Kiesling, Nancy Moon, Alan Panter, Julia Meredith, and Jim Durlow for check signers. May we have a roll call, please?
Jim Drolet,
Aye.
Janice Gaffney,
Aye.
Tim Holcomb,
Aye.
Allison McFadden Kiesling,
Aye.
Nancy Moon,
Aye.
Maggie Sands.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Nicole passes around a sheet of times to sign in. We can maybe do that at the next meeting?
I think that'd be great, yeah.
Yeah,
Because we filled it out through, like, February, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it's through
Yeah, I think we
February.
did it through
Yeah.
February. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
So it's like a sheet where we need 2 check signers for every check run. So it's just them putting their names on dates. So like,
Got
So it's not the same people signing every
I
single
wondered,
time?
I was looking for them, like, what sheet do I have?
no,
No, I'm not trusted.
That,
No,
that
there's-
helps
It's
Kathy and
basically,
Nicole.
it's basically the sign-up
Yeah,
calendar where
yeah.
they say.
It also helps us though, because otherwise it's the same 2 or 3 people
yeah.
always signing.
Yeah.
So it
That's a
works
good
out
idea.
nice to have it kind of scheduled, then I can put it on my calendar and know when it's coming up.
Julie, do we need to update this Flag Star document, or can we add Jim's name? Or
So
how do we do
Nicole has the form, and all we have to do is add Jim to the amendment additional page, and if you all sign tonight, we'll catch Alan the next time he's in the office, and we'll turn that over to the bank, and it will take effect right away. So,
Okay, thank you. Does that work for everybody to sign tonight?
Sure does.
Okay,
very good.
thank you. Well, it looks to me like we're coming to the close of the agenda.
Wow.
And it's only 7:10. Woo, thank you.
And we started 4 minutes late.
The December meeting ran a little long, so I owed you a short one.
May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to adjourn the meeting at 7:10. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. We can all go home at 7:10. Woo-hoo, thank you for the short meeting.
You're welcome, thank you.
Yes.